USC might be able to resolve a defensive problem in-house. LAFC supporters get suspended by the league just in time for the biggest match of the year. And the Dodgers sleepwalk through the winter meetings. Good morning. I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is the faithful Angelenos Morning Report. So it is December 7th, 2023. It is a lovely morning out in St. Louis, Missouri. And it's a lovely morning because it's the last morning I'm spending out here for a week. Can't wait to get home. It's a beautiful thing. By the way, we also added new subscribers to the Angeleno Familia. Thank you for getting in on the ground floor. Do you like being in the know about LA sports? Well, clickety-clack the like button. Clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notification bell. Hit that. It'll let you know we dropped new content. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist. And by all means, comment. It's for the greater good. Before we go through the news and notes, a look at the scoreboard. The Clippers are now 500. They're 10-10. Paul George scored 25 points. James Harden 20. 5 Clippers in double figures overall. The Clippers defeated Denver 110-102. Meanwhile, tonight, pretty decent. New Orleans is playing the Lakers at 6 o'clock. This is the semifinals of the in-season tournament / cash grab. It'll be out in Las Vegas. Hop on Frontier now for a good seat. Meanwhile, the Kings are at Montreal at 4. The Kings are looking to set an NHL record tonight. No team in NHL history has started the year on the road 11-0-0. They have 10. They won their first 10 road games. So, beautiful thing. What do you say we get to the news? D'Anton Lynn, the new USC defensive coordinator, former UCLA defensive coordinator, met the press yesterday and he happy talked the Trojans defense, saying it's, quote, not that far away, unquote, from being great. Now, at first blush, you want to sit there and go, we've heard this before, because we have. We heard it all this season. We heard it all last season from Alex Grinch and Lincoln Riley. So I'm sitting there at first blush, you go, whatever, dude, whatever. Maybe we're going to believe it, maybe we're not. But what caught my attention also from Riley and D'Anton Lynn speaking with the press is that both of them said the Trojans needed to be bigger up front. They're going to the Big Ten. Physical offensive line play. Very much like what Utah's done, right? So you got to be bigger. Got to be more physical. And I stopped and I thought, but wait. Wasn't that the goal last year? Last offseason? And didn't they recruit a bunch of bigger defensive linemen last year? And so I did a little research. The average defensive lineman in college football is supposed to be 6'4", 260 pounds. Okay? So who did they recruit in the transfer portal? 4-star recruit Anthony Lucas. They got him from Texas A&M. 6'5", 265. Okay? What about Jack Sullivan from Purdue? Goes to USC, 6'5", 245. Keon Bars, 6'3", 295 pounds. All three of them bigger than the average height and weight of a college football defensive lineman. So why was it that Bear Alexander was the only guy to get on the field? Anyone? Is it possible, because this is what it tells me, is it possible that Lincoln Riley was sitting there saying, I recruited these guys for Alex Grinch, the former defensive coordinator who was ran out of town by a screaming mob, right? But then maybe Grinch just had tunnel vision for small guys because he runs the so-called speed D, where you're shooting gaps and you're making little adjustments right before the snap of the ball, trying to confuse the offensive line and the quarterback. And it never worked. The Trojans' timing was terrible with Alex Grinch. So Riley's probably sitting there saying to himself, you know, I gave you the tools, dude. You didn't even bother to use them. Remember, Keon Bars and a couple of the other defensive linemen were like, we don't get it. We're not on the field. We're doing everything they're asking us to do in practice, and we're not getting on the field. Only Bear Alexander did. So maybe, just maybe, USC doesn't necessarily have to heavily recruit in the transfer portal, although that would be nice. Maybe their goal is to go up to these guys and say, look, you wasted a year. We're sorry about that. But our new defensive coordinator wants you on the team. He sees value in bigger defensive linemen. You will get your playing time. You will get your flowers if you put in the work in for DeAnton Lynn. Remember what he did over at UCLA. Now, I'm not saying that I know for a fact that I'm right, but I think I might be onto something here, guys. I'm just saying. Meanwhile, also for SC, wide receiver Michael Jackson III has entered the transfer portal. He was a bit of a fan favorite. He scored 4 touchdowns last year. MLS has fined LAFC and has also sanctioned a collective of supporters groups. They call themselves the 3252. They were suspended because they lit so many flares during a playoff game last week it looked like a damn wildfire. So well done, 3252. And I'm not saying that simply because I'm a LA Galaxy supporter. That's not the point. I have friends who are LAFC fans. I don't necessarily hate LAFC fans. Just like anybody else, you take them on a person-by-person basis, right? But after watching that game last weekend, I'm just sitting there glad that the Santa Ana winds didn't kick through the stadium, lest the entirety of South Central go up in flames. We don't need that. I was there for Rodney King. We don't need to see fires ripping through that area again. Right? I mean, all the 3252 did last week was inspire legions of impotent arsonists for the wildfire season that's going to come up, right? So LAFC got fined $100,000, and the supporter group privileges were suspended for MLS Cup. Now, the 3252, like I said, I don't really have a problem with you guys. But what I am going to tell you is that at some point you guys had to be held accountable for your actions. You know, you're constantly throwing beer onto the pitch. You had to be held accountable at some point. The homophobic slurs, for Pete's sakes. You guys had to eventually be held accountable for this. It's not that everybody else hated you for lighting the flares. It's that everybody else was like, wait, if we did it, we'd get sanctioned. Galaxy supporters got sanctioned for throwing streamers, not setting things on fire. So you got suspended just in time for the biggest match of the year. Way to step on a rake, guys. And then you made things even worse by bragging about it on Twitter. And MLS is like, oh, really? Yeah, there might be more punishment coming. So way to go, guys. You kept pushing that envelope. You kept thinking that you were above the law, as they say in Washington. Suspended for MLS Cup. Way to go. Now, the Dodgers didn't sign anyone during the winter meetings, which is prolonging my personal misery because I'm going to have to read even more ridiculous rumors about the Dodgers allegedly being interested in some megastar. And of course it didn't. Everybody thought, oh, Twitter blew up. Mike Trout's going to be a Dodger. Wrong. Remember, Juan Soto. Oh, I'm a sports writer. I know. Juan Soto is going to be a Dodger. Tweet. Wrong. Juan Soto is not going to be a Dodger for the same reason that Mike Trout was never going to be a Dodger. There was no way that the Padres were going to trade a young superstar to their biggest rival. Soto instead is going to the Yankees. He was traded last night. And by the way, Eduardo Rodriguez, the free agent pitcher, signed with Arizona. So those are 2 guys off the board, lowering the list of players the Dodgers are allegedly interested down to 36. So it's still an insane list. But yeah, you could take Juan Soto and Eduardo Rodriguez off. Now, as for the Dodgers not doing anything, don't get too upset with Andrew Friedman about it. There's a very specific reason why there were not a lot of blockbuster moves during the winter meetings. And it's because of Scott Boras. You see, a few years ago, Scott Boras realized that, hey, if we don't make the move during the winter meeting, if we delay it, we might keep these Twitter rumors online and have tension build. FOMO, they call it, fear of missing out. And then maybe if there's some FOMO, we can artificially create a market for these players that wasn't there. Maybe get some more money out of these teams. So, yeah. Now, does it work? Does it actually mean that holding out until after the winter meetings to get a contract signed, does it mean more money for the players? Damned if I know. But that is the thought. Wide receiver Joshua Palmer has returned to practice for the Chargers. This is just a few days after the Bolts could only manage 2 field goals in a game. So I'd say that's not a moment too soon, wouldn't you? Palmer missed 5 games. He had a knee injury. Now, being okay to practice, it doesn't mean that you're going to see him Sunday against Denver. There is a 21-day window to determine whether or not he's going to be okay to play. But let's be real, they're not going to take all 21 days. In 21 days, the Bolts and Brandon Staley could be deader than the Archduke Ferdinand, right? So yeah, they want Palmer on that field because right now their offense is basically praying that Keenan Allen gets open. By the way, Staley does not believe that center Corey Linsley will be returning to the team this year. So that's problematic. The Rams have signed former Green Bay kicker Mason Crosby. They have not released Lucas Havrisik just yet, but if they do, Crosby will be the Rams' 3rd kicker this year. Last year, Crosby was deadly on kicks from less than 50 yards. Couldn't hit anything after 50, though. So at least you have some sort of an idea of what the guy can and can't do. Also with the Rams, the poor people who write for Turf Show Times need to be checked out for early onset dementia, because it's one thing to write something this stupid, to claim 2 weeks ago that Connor Wentz is a better option at quarterback than Matthew Stafford, right? Now they are urging the Rams to trade or cut Cooper Kupp. I poop you not. They think the Rams need to get rid of Cooper Kupp. The NFL Offensive Player of the Year back in 2021. No, he sucks. Got to get rid of him. Could somebody do me a favor? Right? Could you do me a favor and get a calculator and run the numbers for me? Because my math is a little fuzzy, but I think that's just 2 years from being the #1 offensive threat in all of football. Could you do that? Be a dear. Let me know. The Turf Show Times. What the hell's happened to you? I've been saying this all along. Does anybody give 1/10 of a crap about the NBA in-season tournament? The NBA in-season tournament gives me constipation. That's how little of a crap I can give for the NBA in-season tournament. But the NBA has been really trying hard to make it seem important, right? For example, they've even gone so far as to enforce special rules as to what teams can and cannot do. And what I mean by that is that they're telling the Lakers that they can't wear their black jerseys out on the court tonight. Not because they're ugly. Oh, those jerseys are hideous. They're absolutely an abomination to the eyes. No, the NBA doesn't want the Lakers wearing their special black jerseys for the in-season tournament because it clashes with the black court of the in-season tournament. The NBA, telling you, man, losing their damn minds with this thing. Leatu Letu of UCLA won the Lombardi Award as college football's lineman of the year, and frankly, the guy deserves it. He went from a guy who should get drafted to a guy who's probably going to be top 10 in the NFL and draft this upcoming summer. Just saying. Also with UCLA, defensive back Kamari Ramsey has entered the transfer portal. The Bruins D was definitely known for its line play, but Ramsey was absolutely productive in the backfield, 40 tackles and a pick. So, happy trails, dude. Sorry it didn't work out over at Westwood. But you let me know what you think in the comments thread. Talk to me about USC possibly resolving its defensive problems in-house. Talk to me about if LAFC's fan supporters got a raw deal, or if the Dodgers are still in the running to massively upgrade their team. And if you enjoyed the content, don't forget to subscribe to Faithful Angelenos. We're talking LA sports every single day here. Thank you for watching. I'm James. We'll be back tomorrow. Faithful Angelenos is a Key and Corte El Queso production. Take care.